Aha! Now we
How about
know.
now?
That was it?
Talking.
Hi,
You
Nick.
hear me. Hello.
Okay, that's really loud now.
Oh, you can turn down the volume.
Perfect. How's it going?
It's going very well now, I guess.
Let's take it away, Holly.
Thank you, Les. All right, nice to meet all of you guys. For anyone who may not have caught it, my name is Holly Young. I'm with Mythology Distillery. I'm the Director of Community Engagement here, so I do all kinds of stuff from marketing to virtual events. Hopefully that will be real events sooner rather than later. But yeah, just to tell you a little bit about Mythology in general, we are based out of downtown Denver. We're in the Lower Highlands area. You may or may not have seen our bottles in a liquor store if you live nearby. Got this really cool half man, half bear thing going on. It's awesome, and I'll explain that in just a bit. But just to kind of give you a little bit about our story, our business started just 2 years ago. My boss, Scott Yates, was out on an incredible trip in Alaskan backcountry with his friends. They were skiing, they were mountain biking, having a phenomenal time together. And every night, at the end of the day, they would get together at a bar or a tavern and sit down and share the stories of the day over cocktails. And they came to realize that spirits are a really unifying power. It's pretty impressive. I think we can all agree with that. So he decided to start a distillery in the name of adventure, in the name of sharing stories, in the name of building community. And they've definitely done a really good job of doing all of that since. Just to give you a few of our accolades, not really to brag, but just so you know, we're not just any 2-year-old distillery. 2 years in a row, for 2 years we have been active. We have been named the top distillery in Colorado, super awesome. We also have received over 50 domestic and international awards for many different products that we have. So very, very proud of that. But we'll let the spirits kind of speak for themselves. If you have any questions, we can definitely get to that based on the company when we break into kind of the networking portion of the event. But I'm going to start with our cocktails. We've got 3 cocktails that we're going to present to you this evening. I'm going to take care of the first one. It's just a classic old fashioned. It's one of my favorite drinks in the game because it was the first one I learned to make at home, and I think that goes for a lot of people. It's really, really simple, so once you have the tips to be able to make it, you can definitely take that knowledge home with you. The second one we're going to make is a Ramos Gin Fizz. May or may not have heard of this one. My partner Phil, he is the head bartender and bar manager here at Mythology. He's going to be presenting that one to you guys, so we get a nice little change of pace in the middle there. And then I'm going to wrap it up with a bourbon sidebar, which is a play on the classic bourbon sidecar. But we'll start with the classic old fashioned, of course. I'm going to get my mixing glass because this is a stirred cocktail. You're going to stir a cocktail anytime it's more spirit forward. You don't have any ingredients that you're looking to really, I'm looking for the word, I'm trying to say, aerate. That's the word I'm looking for. You just have to give me a second on it. Sorry about that. I have not had my happy hour drink. So the first thing that we're going to do is start building that from cheapest ingredient to the most expensive ingredient. I just do it this way. That way, if I screw up in the beginning, I'm not wasting my whiskey, if that makes sense. So we're going to start with bitters. There are only 3 ingredients in this cocktail. We've got spirit, a sugaring component, and then bitters. Bitters are the cheapest ingredient of the cocktail because we're going to use so little of them. It's basically the salt and pepper of your cocktails. What I have here is aromatic bitters. The most common brand is Angostura, if you're familiar. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 dashes. That's standard. I'm kind of crazy, so I throw 4 in there. And what I want you to know is that the old fashioned is definitely one of the most customizable drinks in the game. So kind of just add and change these measurements based on how you like to drink your cocktails. I like mine a bit more bitter forward, so I add in 4 dashes rather than 2. But we start with 2 dashes of bitters. Then we're going to add our sugaring component. Some people use classic simple syrup, which is made from bleached cane sugar, and they'll do a 1-to-1 ratio in a pot of water and melt it down. Instead, we choose to do a 2-to-1 ratio of turbinado sugar, so that unbleached brown sugar, and then water. This makes a bit richer syrup, and it adds a nice viscosity to the drink as well. But since it is a 2-to-1 ratio of sugar to water rather than 1-to-1, we can actually use less syrup in this cocktail. So I'm only going to do 1/4 ounce of our sugaring component in an old fashioned. Typically, when you go out and get a drink at a cocktail bar, they're going to bump that up to like a full ounce of syrup. If you like your old fashioned sweeter, you're more than welcome to add more. We do recommend just a 1/4 ounce because we want that spirit to speak for itself. The purpose of an old fashioned is that it's a spirit forward cocktail, so again, the spirit does speaking. So we've got our 2 dashes of bitters, 4 in my case. We've got a 1/4 ounce of that Demerara syrup. Now I'm going to get out our Hell Bear American whiskey. I'll kind of bring the bottle a little bit closer so you can get a look at it. Now, the reason that we're using our Hell Bear American whiskey for this old fashioned rather than our bourbon is because our American whiskey is actually more rye heavy. Rye is a spicy grain when you use it in whiskey, and that spice shines through an old fashioned really well. Sometimes if you have a sweeter whiskey, it'll get masked by all those other ingredients that you're putting in there. So we want that nice, spicy, robust whiskey. I'm gonna add 2 ounces of our Hell Bear American whiskey. And then we gotta get some ice. All right. Ice in our mixing glass. We're gonna put some ice in our serving glass, of course. All right. Now, I'm just gonna stir the cocktail. Stirring does is, of course, incorporate all those ingredients together. It's also gonna dilute that cocktail slightly, so it really brings out the flavors that you put in there. I like to stir for about 10 seconds, depending on how big the ice cubes are. The bigger they are, the longer you have to stir. The smaller the ice chunks are, the less you have to stir. That's about good. And then I'm going to strain into my cocktail glass. And last but not least, we're going to garnish that with an orange peel. Orange peel brings out the natural orange zest essence in our American whiskey as well, so that's great. And then once you've got that nice orange peel, we've got the outside side, we've got the inside, which has the pith. We're going to take that outside and we're going to point it toward the top of the drink. Squeeze, you're going to notice all those zest goes right on top of the drink. Swirl it around, and you've got yourself a classic old fashioned. Cheers to me. Just a small sip. That's pretty good. So now I'm going to turn you over to my friend Phil, which means that we need to do a little bit of shuffling. So I'm going to mute myself and close down my screen, and I'll dive right in.
So, Mr. Shelton, I know you to be an old-fashioned aficionado. What did you think?
I would like to try that old fashioned. So
Okay.
I am about 2 miles away, but I know that she said that she made that for herself. But if it was just for general consumption, I would be over there and I would have some.
Well, you're welcome to come by because, like I said, the tasting room is still open. We're on, what are we on, Tejon?
Tejon.
We're on Tejon, just north of what you would call the traditional Highlands area.
Right.
I am going to mute because Holly V2 is here, and he will introduce himself because I'm not sure I remember the whole name.
How's it going, everybody? I think, I'm pretty sure my camera's on. Am I rolling here?
Yes, your camera's on and you're on.
I take the enthusiasm, thank you. So my name is Phil. I am the tasting room manager here at Mythology. I've been here for about 6 months and really been enjoying it. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to make a cocktail for you guys today. So for this one, we're going a little bit more complex. The old fashioned is kind of like the godfather of all cocktails, is kind of where all cocktails come from, is the original old fashioned. This is going to go a little bit farther into pre-prohibition cocktails, but it is still around today and still like a very huge part of the cocktail scene in New Orleans. So this is called the Ramos Gin Fizz. It comes from New Orleans, like I said, and it was a couple of brothers that lived in the bayou, and they also owned a bar, and they were also pastors, which is kind of a strange thing for both of them to do. And so there's kind of an apocryphal story that goes with this drink. If I can get some ice in here. And the story goes that since they were men of God, they did not believe that anybody should drink in excess, obviously. So they made up this drink so that it took too long in between drinks for people to actually get drunk. So originally this cocktail was said to have taken about 20 minutes to make and required about 19 bartenders to do so. So first we are going to start with a egg white. This one is a little bit scary to some people, but I absolutely love egg white cocktails. And sometimes you just have to get really, really good at getting egg white on an egg too. This is a professional bartender trait, along with anybody else that cooks a lot. And of course, I'm gonna try to do it on camera right now. There we go. So, to anyone who says, you know, like, oh, I don't like egg whites in my drink or anything like that, it's gonna be pretty safe because we're gonna use quite a bit of booze. We're gonna use quite a bit of lemon juice too, and that's gonna really break up the protein and anything would actually, any pathogen would actually come from. So next off, use 2 ounces of gin. This is our needle pig gin. Some excellent kind of modern dry. And then we're going to go over to citrus. Some people like to use lime juice. Some people like to use lemon juice. Some people use a little bit of orange juice or a little bit of all three. Tonight I'm just using regular lemon juice to be a little bit more simple. So it's 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice and 1/2 ounce of simple syrup for sweetness. And then another kind of strange ingredient for a cocktail as well is heavy cream. And if you're following along at home, you might notice that this is pretty much all of the ingredients for a meringue, and that is exactly what we're doing. Another kind of strange ingredient is orange flower water. If you've ever cooked with this before, you know how potent this stuff is. It's kind of ridiculous. You can smell it from like a mile away. Sometimes with egg whites, you get kind of a musty smell from them. This kind of takes care of that. So after all of those are in our shaker tin, close that up and give that a shake. This cocktail, we're going to use a method called the reverse drag shake, which means we're going to shake with ice for about 20 seconds. Until you kind of stop hearing the ice break up in there. And then once we're done, we're going to strain out the ice, get rid of it, and continue to shake without the ice. That's the dry shake part. Getting rid of our ice here. And then we keep on shaking. Like I said before, in their bar, the Ramos brothers would sometimes shake this for up to 20 minutes. Sometimes they would have an entire team of bartenders, up to 20 of them, that would shake for 1 minute each. And you can tell how ridiculous the story is already. And it depends on how far you go into the kind of myth of this drink, but it might have turned out that they weren't bartenders at all that all shook for 1 minute. It might have been the children's choir that both of the brothers were pastors at their church for. So might have been a little strange, but it was 1888. It was a different time, you know. Is anybody following along at home? Nobody so far?
No, but I wish I was.
This drink is also kind of known to be the bane of a bartender's existence. You can probably tell right now why. I'm running out of things to talk about, and that's never what you want to do with them.
You could throw it around like in movies.
You could throw it around. I'm not Tom Cruise though. You know, like I aspire to be like Tom Cruise in cocktail, but I just haven't gotten there. It's too tall already, you know?
Methods you're using. How many different ways?
So that's actually an interesting question. There's lots of different ways to shake, and that all depends on the type of ice that you have in the glass or in the shaker tin. Some people kind of prefer like an up and down sort of shaking motion. This is what I usually do. No matter what type of ice you have, Jeffrey Morgenthaler tells us that everything will be diluted and chilled within 10 seconds as long as you shake as hard as you can. And that is the best way to make consistency as well too. But for this one, I'm kind of going all over the place because my arm is tired.
And is
You are
this
functionally trying to make a ramp.
Exactly.
is this drink on your drink menu? Just a standard drink menu that you have there at the facility?
So we can make these here, and we do for a special occasion or if somebody asks for one. More common is just a regular gin free. Gin is, excuse me, and that is all the same ingredients without heavy whipping cream, and it makes a nice frothy foam as well, but not as meringue as this one does. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it on the shake there, and I have my Collins glass here. See that? And we're just going to free pour because we should have gotten rid of all of the ice already into our glass. So it should come up to the top there, and then there's lots of different techniques for this. I'm gonna see if I can do one of them here. Normally you would wanna put this in the fridge and chill it for an extra couple seconds. But if you don't have a fridge around, let me see if I can still do this here. So I'm doing is tapping it on the ground, or on the table here, to kind of get any extra air bubbles out of the meringue that we've made. I don't know if you can see how much definition this is, but out of this 10-ounce Collins glass here, we only have about this much liquid, and the rest of this is just this awesome foam that we made. Now, once we've gotten most of our air bubbles, is pretty much set. Over to our fizz element of our fizz, which is regular soda water. And this is the part that I'm kind of scared about. This is how you can tell if you actually did it right. So right in the middle, we're going to make a tiny well. Usually we do this with a straw. You can make a tiny well with your finger, because I'm drinking this one. And what we're going to do is very, very slowly add soda water to the top. And if we do this right, we should get a nice little puck on top of egg white foam. There we go. Normally this would be served with a straw, and exactly like this, so that you actually have to drink the foam at the top. If you do this very, very well and chill it very well, you can actually get this to come out like sometimes 6 inches above the top of the glass. It's pretty cool. And that right there is a Ramos gin fizz. Do y'all have any questions about anything, mythology or otherwise?
Do you just have one gin that you guys do, or do you have multiple types of gins?
So our normal type of gin, or our normal gin, is this needle pick gin. That one is our standard. Once a year, we also do a collaboration with the Denver Botanic Gardens, and we add extra chamomile and I believe lemongrass from the Botanic Gardens. And also we have a different way of distilling that one. That one's called Forager Gin. It's usually a limited run that comes out around June, and we are usually sold out within like 3 to 4 weeks after that one comes out. Very popular.
So we're visiting in June.
Yes, definitely come by. I actually, of the 6 months that I've worked here, I have never gotten to taste the Forager Gin until yesterday, and it is all that it's hyped up to be. It was the #1 thing that people come through for. I've never gotten, like, I can't even talk about it until now.
So if you can, let's trade mutes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you everybody for having me. We'll see you around.
So there is no reason for you guys to wait until spring to come. There are special releases all the time. In fact, I took home the very last bottle of limoncello the first time I came to visit here. I don't know if you're a limoncello fan or not, but it's quite lovely. It goes great in mixed drinks, but it's just a great aperitif as well. And I took the last bottle of that home not quite a month ago. So I do strongly recommend a visit. A, you get to meet Holly and the gang, who are all awesome. B, their spirits are, this is not the, second shelf from the bottom brands you recognize, right? This is good stuff you can drink straight. And I can't drink the normal brands straight, but I can sip this stuff all day. So I would recommend to visit sooner rather than later. Okay, we're going to turn over to the lovely and talented Holly Young one more time. She's going to show us one more drink, and then we're going to try another trick after that we've never done on a live show. So don't leave us.
All right, let's do it. So the next one we're doing, we call a bourbon sidebar. It's a play on the classic bourbon sidecar, which is a bourbon drink with orange liqueur, so it's very bright, very fruity. We've chosen to make this with our best friend bourbon, because compared to our American whiskey, which is that Hellbear that I was talking about, the old fashioned, that one's very rye heavy. The bourbon definitely has a high rye influence, but at the same time, it's much more honey forward on the nose. So you get a lot more of those caramel notes. And we think that pairs nicely and is balanced nicely by the citrus juice and the orange liqueur. So we've got a classic bourbon sidebar here. We're gonna start with simple syrup as the cheapest ingredient. We only need a ½ ounce of that. And then we've got 3/4 ounces of lemon juice. 1 full ounce of the orange liqueur. We do make it in your house, it's delicious. And then last but not least, we've got 1.5 ounces of our best friend bourbon. Awesome. And we just need to shake it up. You got to watch Phil shake for like a whole hour. I bet that was really fun. His arms must be really tired. It was his choice to make that cocktail. I felt like it was ambitious, but he is an ambitious guy, so. All right, so we put ice into our shaker tin. And give this a shake. Yeah, I'm gonna throw it down. What was the next one? Not that good. Like that. And then we're going to double strain it just to ensure any of the pulp or anything left behind in that orange liqueur or the lime juice doesn't show up in the cocktail. And we are double straining into a cinnamon sugar rimmed coupe. And the sugar brings out the natural cinnamon. And there we go. We've got a bourbon sidebar. Cheers. And the last thing oh yes, sorry.
I was going to say, is the sidecar on the actual drink menu there, or is that a special thing that we have to ask for?
So the sidecar is a classic cocktail. We've changed it up just a little bit to make the sidebar, which is a play on that classic cocktail. So yes, you can come in and get the drink that I just made here. Yeah, definitely. One thing I do yeah, he better come. One thing I do want to let you know is that if you do decide to visit us throughout the month of February, we have created a discount code for you guys to use on bottles. You'll get a 10% discount on any bottle purchase in-house for the month of February. The code is just Great Minds. But yeah, cheers to you guys. Thanks for letting us be a part of this. This is awesome. I'm excited to answer more questions. And last thing, do not forget that you have a 10% discount in Distillery on bottles for the rest of the month.
Ooh, let me type that into the chat window.
Yes, it's just Great Minds.
So what do we have to do? We just go in there and we just say, Great Minds, I have the code for the bottle discount. Great Minds.
Isn't that kind of cool? It makes you feel kind of fancy. Yeah, yeah, that's all you gotta do.